Alright, I'm going to do a quick little fix. This is for these EP360 lights. You can pick them up at Costco or whatever. It's going to get a little bright here for a second. Sometimes you'll go to turn it on and the other one light might not work. When you go to charge it, it won't charge. It just continually shows that it's all the way charged, but it's not. I've got some new batteries for it. I already fixed this one over here, and now I'm going to fix this one here. You're going to want some 18650 batteries, some lithium ion ones. This is what I picked up. I really doubt that they're actually 9900 milliamps, but whatever. Some wire cutters, handy dandy iFixit kit, some electrical tape, some solder. I've got a soldering iron around here somewhere, and a soldering iron. Alright. I like these little lights, and at 50 bucks a pop, I couldn't see tossing this in the garbage because it's a really good light. It works pretty good. I like it. So we'll get this apart. Like I said earlier, you need your little iFixit kit. You got some Allen bits here, and you'll have some Allen bits there, and then some regular number 2 screws on the inside. Alright, I believe that the Allen keys for these right here are 2.5s, so you need a 2.5 for that. The Allens for this one are a 3.0, so 3 millimeter. Alright, once you got those out, this guy here will pretty much just fall out, and then you have these little tiny wires in here. You don't have to fool with those right now. I've only taken one of these apart, so the only lesson I have about these little tiny wires is that they go to the charging pads, and they go into the little circuit board inside. But you'll want to be real careful with those. You don't have to take this part here off. We're just going to take this part apart right here, which I can't do with one hand. Alright, you might have to use like a little knife or something and get under here. It's under this piece of the black, not this piece. So between the orange and the black, you want to get on this side of it, closer to the orange. And you can pop this right off. And here you have your little board, and you got your little LEDs. And we're going to end up taking this battery out, and that's not going to be too bad. There's two little screws right here that you'll want to take off, but also you want to take off these 5 screws around the edge of this case. Yeah, you'll want to take off those, and that's so we can slide the whole thing out. Alright, sorry about the focus there. This is kind of difficult to wiggle out. I don't know if you can see that there's a little bit of glue right there, and the glue comes down from up here, but it's not a real good way to kind of like pick that glue around, because you might actually rip those wires in there, and you don't want to rip those wires. So be careful when you're sliding this whole thing out. There's going to be some glue on top of there, but if you wiggle it back and forth a little bit and keep a little steady pressure going backwards, you'll get it out of there. Alright, some more of that glue. You'll want to take something like a little screwdriver or something. See if I can get that to stay. And you'll want to get up under here between the plug and its little receptacle, and kind of get under there and work some of that glue loose, and then you should be able to pull this off, because more than likely it's not going to come off very easily until you break some of that glue loose. But just be careful, just work a little bit, you know, get up under there a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch, and then you'll get that glue broke loose, and then you'll be able to go ahead and pull that plug out. Alright, so once you get that stupid plug out of there, you'll see that you have a says it's a 6.66. I wonder if if that has anything to do with it. 3.7 volt lithium ion is what this says. I'm not for sure exactly what the chemical makeup is. If it's lithium ion, it feels heavier than the batteries that I bought individually. I could probably like look up this number and get more info, or you all can. I haven't done that yet, but this is what we're going to replace. More than likely, I'm going to test this, and it's going to show no continuity. It already has a little split there, so something tells me maybe it got hot or maybe something happened. It didn't explode, so that's good. That's what I'm kind of thinking. It's not lithium ion. I'm kind of thinking it's lithium iron phosphate, LiFePO. But anyhow, we're going to replace it. Alright, I got my leads in there just to show you all that it's really broke. As we can see, it's not really doing anything. It's being all wonky on the meter here, but it really doesn't have any real voltage or anything in it. I'll get this this foil off of here and show you what's hiding underneath here. Alright, I don't know what goes on these batteries, like what goes bad, but my bet would be that something with this BMS or something, battery management system, went bad and totally shorted the battery until it was drained. This right here isn't from me. Maybe this thing got hot and started to bubble a little bit, but yeah, we're not going to need this, but we will need this little wire, this little pigtail. So go ahead and separate this wire from there. You could probably just, what I do is I just bend it back and forth until it pops off of there, but we're going to need that wire. Alright, you're going to want to go ahead and strip those wires when you get this guy off, from the dearly departed battery. And then I didn't tell you earlier, but I took a little piece of wire that's going to be about the length of the battery to kind of make up for the distance we're going to lose when we lose this battery management piece. And then we're going to connect these two guys here together. I'm going to solder them together real quick. If you don't have if you've never soldered before, this isn't something that would be really hard for you to learn on. But this, unfortunately, this isn't really a soldering video, but I'll kind of show you a little bit. Alright, I'm right-handed. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. I've got my soldering iron heating up. You might see it make a little bit of smoke here in a second. We'll test it out and see if it's hot. Yep, okay, she's hot. So we're going to get a little solder on there. And I know this isn't technically the right way to do this. It's the right way to do this one-handed. Alright, get that laid on there. Set that little soldering iron over there and let this cool off. They say, is it 30 seconds for every second you have the soldering iron on there? You just want to cool those wires off a little bit before you tape them up with your electrical tape. Alright, I'll get the other one done and be back. Alright, so after you got this little guy built, I went ahead and put a little solder here on the ends. Just made it like a little hook, something flat that can more easily set down on this battery because it's flat. Now you want to scratch up both ends a little bit so you can get that solder to stick real good. And then you're going to want to put a little bead on here. I already put a little bead on here, but put a little bead on here, and then we'll join those things together and solder them both together. But got to put like a little bead on there first, kind of get stuff started. Alright, the trick is you want to make sure to get your iron nice and warm, nice and hot, and then go into it. That way you're not sitting there smoking the battery the whole time, getting it too hot. I don't know what type of heat these things can take, but I don't want to find out either. Also, the battery management system, from what I understand, is underneath the top here. So you don't want to get that too hot and desolder any little microprocessor or whatever inside there. Alright, if you remember, it's a pretty tight fit to get it inside this compartment here. So you want to make sure not to make your ends too big with your solder joints. Nice and smooth if at all possible. And I only went around this twice with electrical tape, 2 wraps. That should be plenty. That should be more than enough. So I'll do that, and then I'll do a wrap, 2 times around each edge here to kind of hold the wire down like that. All right, when you're done, you should have something like this, and then we'll get that fed back in through there and get it hooked up and see if it works. All right, I didn't want to wait to wire it all the way through here and loop it in, but here you go. Yeah. There we go. It works. If I didn't mention it before, this is a tight space for this to fit into. So you don't want to wrap your battery too much. You also don't want to use too much tape on those leads. Plus those 2 little screws right there, that's where this guy's going to go back, and he won't be able to sit on there if the battery's too fat or if those leads are in the way. Alright, after you got that on, making sure not to pinch your wires because you got them over to the side because you're a smart person. Putting it back together is the opposite of taking it apart. Just make sure you don't get these guys caught up somewhere. But other than that, we're good. Yay! While you're putting it back together, if you can't find any of your screws, look right there. Alright, here goes the moment of truth. This is the same light with the same scuffs and everything. Same dent. Actually, I might have put that on upside down. No, I put it on right because you can only put it on one way. My bad. So that works. Alright. Everything works as it should. So just a couple of bucks and 30-45 minutes worth of work per side, and you've got a light that's better than new. Alright, I'm Rico. Outwork, outlast, outperform. Talk to you later. Bye.